In November 1996, a 20-year-old Olympic gold medalist stepped into the ring as a professional for the very first time. The imposing Ukrainian was fresh off super heavyweight Olympic glory in Atlanta and had just settled on a nickname, Dr. Steel Hammer. Wladimir Klitschko took 95 seconds to put Fabian Meza to sleep as a ferocious right hook ended the Mexican's night. His hallmarks are already in that young man. He still leans forward with his left shoulder before smashing in a jab or hook. He still thanks each ringside after a fight. 2 decades and 1 remarkable career later, and Klitschko is packing away his gloves for good. The 41-year-old announced on Thursday his fight in the ring was over and he leaves the sport with a reputation unrivaled by any other modern-day champion. So many kings of the ring have left a trail of destruction behind them. Klitschko has never been that kind of champion, or man. Klitschko has been the gentleman king of the heavyweights. While many brand him robotic, borderline boring, but the Anthony Joshua fight in April reminded the world of Klitschko's legacy, where fellow former heavyweight world champion David Haye was hurling death threats at Tony Bellew the month before. Klitschko spoke with grace and respect for his younger rival. There were mind games, no doubt about it. Klitschko deliberately cast himself as the big brother in an attempt to belittle Joshua, but those are subtle head games. Never has Klitschko been in the business of verbally abusing his opponent. Haye tried to tempt the bad boy out of Klitschko when they clashed in 2011, but even in anger the Ukrainian was reserved and stuck to his values. He's been very provocative. He cut my head off for one magazine. That's pretty provocative, so I decided to fight this boy. Now I see Haye with a cut-off head of my brother, my family member. What's going to be next? My dad's head? My mother's head? Will he attack my religion? My race? This is over the edge. It's not sport. This guy will be punished. After 12 rounds he will be a pizza face, then I will knock him out. He needs to be taught how to behave. I don't want to waste my energy on this trash talk. It's embarrassing for the sport. He's a loser and I want to shut his mouth. There's nothing soul-crushing in calling another man a loser. It's not in Klitschko's nature to strip down his opponent before a fight. Klitschko was simply built for fighting and beating heavyweights. Critics say he lacks stardust, but 53 stoppages from 64 victories, 32 of those in world title fights, is anything but pedestrian. At the height of his powers, it was simply a case of guessing when the knockout blow would be landed, not if. After making his pro debut 21 years ago, Klitschko went on to become a 2-time world champion and reigned unbeaten as such for 9 years in the second stint. For a total of 11 years, Klitschko was unstoppable and climbed to the top of the heavyweight world. When his brother Vitaly retired in 2012, it brought an end to the Klitschko era and ushered in Drive, Steel Hammer's undisputed reign. When Tyson Fury stopped Klitschko in November 2015, he shook the boxing world. Fury was superior in every way: his speed, his skill, his range, his footwork. The Brit announced and confirmed his special ability in that victory. Klitschko was meant to be in his prime, but aged 39 the heavyweight appeared to be over the hill up against a unique, younger boxer who may go down as the biggest waste of talent in ring history. It was perhaps only over the course of the following 17 months that we came to understand Klitschko's legacy. He saw 2 rematches fall through with Fury. He performed a solo press conference when Fury failed to turn up. He gave up on Fury and turned his attentions to Joshua. His and Joshua's combined stature sold out 90,000 tickets at Wembley, and the heavyweights put on a war in the ring after they displayed total respect outside the ropes. Klitschko will go down as a most fascinating, repetitive theme and figure in Joshua's career. He was his mentor. Joshua sparred with him as an amateur and has often spoken about how that glimpse into Klitschko's camp, the king's mentality, affected him. Just 3 years later, Klitschko was on the verge of knocking out Joshua in the 5th round before an incredible recovery from the Brit. That night will go down as the moment Klitschko's power transferred to Joshua, and the 27-year-old has almost built his entire psyche on how Klitschko conducted himself. Klitschko's goodbye message has all the trappings of a man who knows where he is going and exists with ease outside the fire of fighting. Level-headed, focused and reflective. The only man to coax the trash talker out of Joshua was Dillian Whyte, a fighter he had been feuding with since his amateur days. And with Joshua on the cusp of becoming the king of the heavyweights, it's the perfect time for Klitschko to take his leave. Were he to fight Joshua again after a 50-50 blockbuster in April, the odds surge into the Brits' favor to do the double. Klitschko walks away on his terms, not with an embarrassing loss still stinging his face. He was stopped by Joshua, but at 41 his reputation has reached new heights. It's strange that it took Klitschko to lose his title before the majority began to appreciate his class. The bitterness of Hay vs Spilou certainly helped amplify Klitschko's standards, but it was his performance against Joshua that helped solidify his legacy. It's hard to forget in boxing, but fighters must think about their health when the body begins to ache that little bit more. Amazingly, and by the grace of his skills, Klitschko has only been seriously hurt a handful of times. He may escape with most of his wits about him, he certainly speaks like a man who has spent his career in the boardroom rather than the ring. Klitschko's decision to walk away now means he leaves the sport at the height of his popularity on his own terms. Fighting Joshua again must have been tempting when he considers how close he came to finishing him and becoming a world champion again, but after 3 months of reflection, Klitschko has made the right choice. There will be no painful deconstruction of Klitschko's power. No peeking through fingers moment to see Larry Holmes take Muhammad Ali apart. Klitschko departs knowing that if he was to fight anyone outside of the top 2 heavyweights, Joshua and Deontay Wilder, he would probably win. Dr. Steelhammer goes out on a defeat, but his legacy will be that of boxing's ultimate gentleman and one of the sport's greatest ever champions. More, heavyweight legend Wladimir Klitschko rejects Anthony Joshua rematch to retire from boxing. More, Anthony Joshua set for IBF title defense after Wladimir Klitschko's retirement call.